What's going on, football fans? I'm Bill Murphy. I'm Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy, and welcome to another exciting edition of Thursday Night Gridiron, Week 9 edition. We're halfway through. Okay, and joining me tonight, our fearless leader, the president of the Sports Insanity Network, Lawrence Patchman Lang. Patch, thanks for coming, buddy.
Happy to be here, my friend. You know, once in a while, the president has to make an appearance on the Thursday show just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
And
That's what I'm here to do.
And to make sure I'm staying out of trouble.
For the most part, yes. If you get yourself in trouble, there is no bail money coming from me.
Oh, come on. I thought we were friends.
Oh, we are friends, except I'm not bailing out criminals.
Or what if it was like the craziest thing ever that I'll tell you off air because we have football to talk about.
Yes, we do. Let's get to it.
Okay, but before we get to tonight's game, the trade deadline was this past Thursday. And there were some interesting deals. There were the Steelers traded Chase Claypool to the Chicago Bears for a second-round pick. And the Lions traded TJ Hockenson to the Vikings for a 2023 fourth-round pick and a 2024 conditional fourth-round pick. No, hold on. I missed that. Okay. The Lions traded TJ Hockenson for a 2023 fourth-round pick and a 2024 conditional fourth-round pick to the Vikings for a second-round pick in 2023 and a fourth-round pick for 2024. So, what do you think about those deals, Patch?
Oh, you know, the whole division made modes besides my beloved Green Bay Packers.
And my beloved New York Giants. Well, they traded away someone, but...
Yeah, well, you know, at least your team did something. My team did Jack Diddley for the umpteenth time during the trade deadline in the season. So I'll leave it at that. I wanted Claypool. Fortunately, didn't happen. Maybe we can still land a free agent wide receiver once he's healthy, or they're healthy.
Didn't you guys trade for Judy, though?
No, the Packers made no moves.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the Giants really made no moves either, except trading Kadarius Toney for draft picks, but we didn't get anybody. So, well done, the front office of the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. Well done. You disappointed us. But what do you think is the bigger deal here? Chase Claypool to Chicago or Hockenson to Minnesota?
It's got to be Claypool to Chicago because now that just adds another weapon for Justin Fields. You know, Justin Fields is finally coming around. He's actually playing some decent football. The Bears look like a wild card team in my book, even though it's 9 weeks in and, you know, things can happen. But, you know, to beef up the wide receiver core for Chicago is good because now Fields just has another weapon to add to his repertoire that he can get the ball to if he's not running it like crazy. So Bears win, I think, in the North for the trade deadline.
You know, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you here. I think Hockenson was the bigger move because with tight end, well, you know, sort of in the same way because now with the tight end like Hockenson, I think that's you say his name, right? Hockenson, right?
I believe so.
You know, that's gonna give Kirk Cousins more weapons. How he has Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. I think Hockenson is really going to build up that core and give Cousins more weapons. So I think the bigger deal was Hockenson to Minnesota.
All right. To each his own.
Hey, we can agree to disagree.
That's right.
That's what's so great about this great land of ours. Um, okay. Now that we've talked about the trade deadline, it's time to dig into tonight's nice, wholesome game of football, which is probably going to be a very one-sided game, isn't it?
Depends who you ask, because you never know on Thursday Night Football as of late.
Okay, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, I'm sorry, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles and the Houston Texans. Fun fact, it's like funny tonight. It's like, excuse me, we had tonight's game, the Eagles and the Texans, Philadelphia versus Houston. We also have the World Series game going on with the Phillies and the Astros being Philadelphia versus Houston. So that's actually pretty interesting. What do you think?
It's weird. You got 4 teams, two from 2 respective states of Pennsylvania and Texas playing against each other. And for like it's in the same city as well. So it's cool. I'm digging it, Hopefully the city of Philly both gets wins tonight, because I would love to see the city of Philly celebrate tonight. Go up 3-2 in the series, and then, hey, Eagles are 8-0 if they win. So,
because like I said on the podcast, if you're a Philadelphia sports fan, right now is a great time to be alive. And by the way, if the Phillies win tonight, it will actually be a tied series. But it's a great time to be alive. The Phillies are in the World Series. The Eagles are undefeated. Like, if you're an Eagles fan, now is a great time to be alive, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's great to be a Pennsylvania fan right now.
Except if you live in Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, if you're living in Pittsburgh, it's a bit of a struggle right now. But, to live in Philly right now, it's great to be a fan of sports right now.
Yeah, so Philly stats from last week. They knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 35-13. Jalen Hurts, he went 19 for 28 with 285 yards, 10.2 average, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, but was sacked 3 times. You got Miles Sanders, who went for 9 carries, 78 yards, 8.7 average, and 1 touchdown. And receiving, Zach Pascal, 2 receptions, 57 yards, 28.5 average, and 1 touchdown. And of course, A.J. Brown, 6 receptions, 156 yards, 26.0 average, and not 1, not 2, but 3 TDs. So, what do you say to that?
Hey, who's this for again? Because you broke up on my end a little bit.
This is for the Eagles.
For the Eagles, it's fantastic because the Eagles are showing that, past woes are in the past and a new regime takes over, and it's time for the Eagles to fly again in the NFC East, because the least is finally dead for this division, because the division is strong right now, minus the Commanders, because they're going through their own tribals and tribulations, and how you say that term. But the NFC East is probably one of the strongest divisions right now because of how every team is doing so well, minus the Commanders. But hey, shout out to Philly.
Yeah, but by the way, did you know in the NFC, the East is the only division that is above 500?
Hey, good for them.
Well, because everyone else, sucks. Sorry to the North.
No, none taken to the North.
And the South, actually, no. A lot of offense in the NFC South. But anyway, yeah, so we just talked about Jalen Hurts. Where do you think he is in the MVP conversation? So, because so far this year, he's 1,799 yards, 10 passing touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's for passing. For rushing, it's 79 rushing attempts, 303 rushing yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. So, do you think he's going to be in the MVP conversation?
What was his TDI and T ratio again?
Is what?
What was his TD-INT ratio again?
Okay. 10 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Through 9 games, no, he's not in the MVP conversation.
You don't think so?
No, not at. No offense to him, he's having a good season. You have 10 TDs. You have 16 total TDs between 10 passing, 6 rushing. Okay, the 6 rushing is nice, but the 10 passing has shown that the Phillies wide receiver core is not really doing much in 9 weeks. Okay, 2 INTs is respectful through 9 games. I'll give him that. But when you have Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, Mac Jones is holding his own here and there. Other quarterbacks, the running backs are doing good this year. Got Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott. When they're healthy, they're good. Aaron Jones. You really can't throw him in the MVP conversation yet. If this was maybe week 6 and he had 10 touchdowns, I would say, okay, I would throw him in the conversation. But at this time, I'm not going to throw him in the MVP conversation.
When it comes to the Caesar Sportsbook's odds by Caesar Sportsbook, so not sponsored. Jalen Hurts is second in the favorites behind only Josh Allen. So I think he's going to be, I think if he continues at this pace, he could be in the conversation. Because right now, dude, Jalen Hurts is freaking scary. So is Josh Allen. You're comparing. If I were to pick today, I would pick Josh Allen. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Hurts does not scare me right now. The Eagles are playing good football. Eagles are playing decent football right now. Should they be 8-0 right now? Maybe, but once again, you can compare the Giants right now. The Giants, should they be 6-2 right now? Should the Giants be 6-2 right now?
I did not predict the Giants being 6-2 at the bye.
They're you know what? It's a mean thing to say to the Giants and the Eagles right now. They're winning football games by luck, in my opinion. They're playing some good football here and there, but ultimately they're getting lucky with winning football games.
I want to say this. The Giants beat two of what they say are the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Okay,
and
so
one of those best quarterbacks, granted, is having a bad season, being Aaron Rodgers. But then you beat Lamar Jackson. You knock off the 2 number 1 seeds from the previous playoff, being Green Bay, again, not doing that great, and Tennessee. So I think they're playing decent football right now, Pat.
So, all right. You could say you beat Aaron Rodgers, but once again, is Aaron Rodgers on defense?
No.
You're beating a Packers defense who is supposed to be good and is playing terrible football. But people forget you beat Aaron Rodgers. You're not beating Aaron Rodgers. You're beating the Packers. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a wide receiving core right now that is worth anything, the run game, the only saving grace to the Packers offense is A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. So, okay, you could say you beat the Packers. Okay, you beat Aaron Rodgers. You beat Aaron Rodgers. You beat Aaron Rodgers, but you beat the defense. The defense just gave up. Aaron Rodgers didn't give up. Aaron Rodgers tries to find a way to make the play work. He just can't have anybody catch the ball right now. Beating Lamar, I'll give you that. I'll give you, once again, you beat Lamar Jackson, but you're beating the Baltimore Ravens. You're beating 2 number 1 seeds from last season that are both probably completely different teams right now. Because one, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Devontae Adams. And then Baltimore, you have to look at Baltimore. They have some injuries here and there. So, but I'll give the Giants credit. They're coming back and winning football games. But then again, these other teams are just giving away football games to the Giants. But back to Philly, like you say with Hurts, I still don't see him as an MVP caliber quarterback right now. He's playing good football, like you said, 10 touchdowns, 2 INTs. But once again, that's through 9 weeks where, other quarterbacks are, approaching 15 touchdowns, 20 touchdowns already in week 9.
10's only in passing, though.
I'm saying, but yeah, that's what I was telling you, 10 passing touchdowns, where other quarterbacks are approaching 15, 20 already in week 9.
Okay. What do you say about AJ Brown? Do you think he is the best offseason acquisition that the Eagles got?
Absolutely. He's helping this Phillies team. Once again, look at the Phillies the past few years were not that really good of a football team. Brown has helped, resurgence the Eagles a little bit. He's helping this team, come back to life a little bit. So I would say he's a big acquisition in the offseason for the Eagles.
Yeah, no, I think he's, when they got him on draft night, when they traded for a pick and to the Titans, I think, that Hurts Brown combination is very good. Like you saw last week, a record for AJ Brown against Pittsburgh. He got 3 touchdowns in one game. So I think AJ Brown is a big acquisition for this Philadelphia team. And me and our dear friend / colleague, Mark's old ops guy, Halpern. As you all know, I'm a big Giants fan. Mark's a big Cowboys fan. I said, listen, we may hate each other's teams, but we're bonded by one thing. And he said, what? We're both freaking scared of AJ Brown. And he said, I'm like, yup. No, let me tell you, when the Giants play AJ Brown in a couple weeks, I'm scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared. But yeah, I think he's their best acquisition. I'm sorry, Pat. You look like you're going to say something.
No, I'm going to continue, my friend.
What was that?
I said you're fine. Move on.
Okay. Who has the best chance to give the Eagles their first loss after this game? The Commanders, the Colts, the Packers, the Titans, the Giants. Okay, you got Commanders at home, Indy, Green Bay at home, Tennessee at home, Giants on the road, Bears on the road, Cowboys in Dallas, and then the Saints and the Giants both at home. Who do you think has the best chance of giving them their first loss?
If they are to win tonight, let's see. If they win tonight against Houston, I can see them beating the Commanders. I could see them beating the Colts. I could say my team, but that's being biased because that team, I think, might lose the rest of the season in my book. I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated. If I had to look at the next 3 weeks after tonight, I would say the Commanders give them the best shot of giving them their first W, their first out.
Listen, as much as we make fun of the Commanders, the wheels are moving in Washington a little bit right now. Wheels are moving. To me, and I hate to say this, I'm gonna have to say maybe Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. Dallas is also a month down the road, so
I'm gonna have to say Dallas because they have the receivers, and I guarantee you, all we're saying, oh, he's probably gonna say the Giants because he's a Giant fan, and I'm like, listen. My job, I have to be non-biased here. And I honestly think the Cowboys have a better chance of beating the Eagles than the Giants do. And because we don't have the receivers. And yes, I think we're holding our own with Saquon, but you're going to need receivers. And the Giants do not have that. So I'm going to say the Cowboys.
Like I say, I'm looking at the next 3 weeks. Like I said, Cowboys are a month down the road. If they are to win up to that point, I would say the Cowboys beat them.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the next 3 weeks, how weird would it be if Rodgers and company beat Philly?
I would be ecstatic.
And would we get videos of you doing backflips, Patchman?
Nope. You get a subtle clap of applause for the Packers beating the Eagles.
Okay, now We're going down to the great state of Texas.
But are not the Dallas Cowboys.
We're not the Dallas Cowboys. We are talking about the Houston Texans, who are coming off a 17-10 loss last week against the Tennessee Titans. Davis Mills went 17 completions for 29 attempts, 152 yards, 5.2 average, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And Brandon Cooks, 4 receptions, 73 yards, no touchdowns. And Damian Pierce, 3 receptions, 16 yards, 5.3 average, and 1 touchdown. So, yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, right, Patch?
Unfortunately, except for the Houston Texans.
Okay, so
you got the other.
Go on.
Besides the Astros, nothing really as good is going on in Texas right now.
No offense to the great state of Texas. We're sure you're lovely folks.
It's a great state. I've been there.
Yeah, I've never been there, actually. Okay. Why do you think the Texans did not trade Braden Cooks? Because I know the Giants were looking at him. A few other teams were looking at him.
The only thing I can see what Houston is doing is waiting to see who the number 1 pick is going to be in the draft. Like, if they're not going to be the number 1 pick, and, like, let's say they drop to, like, 5 or 6 or 7, and another team is there, then that will be a way for them to trade the pick away. Or trade Brandon Cooks away. Okay, hypothetically, Packers number 1 pick. Houston wants it. All right, we want Brandon Cooks. And then like another draft pick later in the draft to give to us. And then, okay, you can have the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, because I think if the season were to end today, the Texans would probably be in the top 5 for draft picks.
Yeah, most likely.
Probably at number 2 at this moment, because they have the tie. And the only other team that I think only has 1 win, I think it's Detroit, right?
I believe so, yes. I don't have stats in front of me at this moment. I'm doing this from my phone.
Yeah, I think Detroit I think Detroit would be number 1 and Houston be number 2. And you make a very fair point. Like, so, because if they probably want to see who the top pick's going to be and say, okay, here's Braden Cooks, we want the top pick. But if they're the number 2 pick, do you think Detroit's going to be willing to give away the number 1 pick?
It depends. It depends if Detroit's number 1, because I think Detroit will find a way to win a couple more football games this year. I could see Houston losing out for this year just to get the first overall pick. But then again, Houston can catch far in the wind and get hot.
Yeah, absolutely. But they can get hot, and Braden Cooks is like their big gun right now. So
the saving grace to them right now
is the saving grace. And like you said, they're probably going to wait to see where they're going to be in the draft. Speaking of quarterbacks, because we were just talking about drafting a quarterback, is Davis Mills a franchise quarterback?
I mean, if you look so far since, let's look at the Colts. I mean, I'm not the Colts. They played Colts week 1. Let's look at Houston. Okay, week 1 they tie. Denver, they lose 16-9. Okay, that's that's a tough loss. It's a tough loss. And then a really tough loss against the Bears, 23-20. LA, you lose by 10. Yeah, your only win of the season so far against Jacksonville, 13-6. You lose by 18 to the Raiders, and then you lose by 7 to Tennessee. I'm not saying he's a Davis Mills is kind of like Trevor Lawrence. He just needs the right coach to be there for him, and he'll be fine.
And you don't think Lovie Smith is the one?
I don't think Lovie Smith's the one. I unfortunately, I see them keeping Lovie Smith around for the rest of the year and then probably fire him halfway through next season.
Yeah, so that's why you think so you don't think you think Davis Mills is the franchise quarterback, or?
I'm not. For now, I'm going to keep him as the franchise quarterback. I just want him to get the right coach from.
Well, here's what I think. If Houston just bombs the rest of the season, and they're at the number 1 or number 2 pick, and if they have an opportunity to get a new young quarterback, I think one of the top quarterbacks is going to be Trace Adams, I think his name is, from Alabama. Like, if he's on the board, and if they have the number 1 and the number 2 pick, they're going to be, yeah, sorry, Davis, you go bye-bye. We want the kid from Alabama. So I don't know. I don't think Davis Mills is going to be the franchise quarterback, because if they're in the top 5 of draft picks and there's going to be a new young, and there's going to be a, hold on one second, and there's going to be picks for the whatchamacallit, for the
for Brandon Cooks?
No, for Davis Mills. Now, I'm not saying they're going to trade Davis Mills. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for quarterbacks right now, as of this moment, they could be going for C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. They could be going from Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. Like Bryce Young. Okay, not Trace Adams. I don't know where I got that from. My mistake, folks. Or Bryce Young from Alabama. Like, if they have one of the top picks, they're probably going to move on from Davis Mills and get one of those guys. If they're in that top 5,
they'll keep Davis Mills as a backup.
Okay, that's fair to say.
Unless, like I say, Davis Mills has for Davis Mills to be traded, he has to catch. I'll use this term again: fart in a windstorm and get hot, and then find magic in a bottle to get trade value, to get a trade value out of it. If he's going to continue what he's doing right now and just playing 500 TD INT football and not getting his TDs up and his not throwing so many INTs, he's just going to remain in Houston and then most likely become a backup if Houston were to draft a quarterback, if they're high in the draft.
So, yeah, you brought up Lovie Smith. You said that he'll play out the year and probably get fired. You say he's probably a one and done coach.
Yes, he's a one and done coach.
I'm going. Here's what I think that might be a fair argument with him and Davis Mills. How you brought up the Trevor Lawrence comparison. That Trevor Lawrence was just like Trevor Lawrence. I've heard a lot of people bash Trevor Lawrence. But, like I said, last year, it wasn't entirely his fault. He just had a sucky coach being Urban Meyer. But I think the same thing could be said about Davis Mills. But I will say this. You said Lovie Smith is a one-and-done coach. I think he could be, but you got to say this. Rebuilds, because, new head coach, new quarterback, some of them go well right away. Look what's happening with Brian Dable and the Giants and Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, how those are going very well. But then you hear what's going on in Houston. Like, I think he might be a one-and-done coach, but you also got to think, rebuilds take time.
Rebuilds do take time, but Houston is an up and down rebuild. It seems like for 2 years they're good, and then for 5 years they're down as a dumpster fire, and then they go back up for 2 years, and then they're down 3 years a dumpster fire. They go up 2 years being good, and then it's 7 years of being of a dumpster fire. It's just that they need to find the right GM, the right president, the right coach that can all come together to put the Houston Texans back together. And then, they're even though he was long gone, but, J.J. Watt was the centerpiece of that team forever. J.J. Watt was the centerpiece of the Houston Texans forever. He left for greater pastures, and now, this Houston Texan team is just a dumpster fire, for lack of a better term. It's no offense to any of the players, no offense to any of the coaches. nobody in the front end. Your team is just a complete dumpster fire that you guys really just need to all come together and say, hey, we need to hit the restart button on this. And all come together.
No offense to the people of the great state of Houston. Your football team sucks, but hey, you still got the Astros.
And the Rockets are respectful.
And the Rockets, you got them too. So
the Rockets are respectful. But, your football team is not really good right now. And your college football team has a slight better edge than them.
Okay, so what is the X factor for tonight's team, for both teams tonight, one per team?
If Davis Mills can find a way to, get through that Philly defense and, find Mr. Cooks and get a couple touchdowns on the board, those two can be good. If Jalen Hurts can just do what Jalen Hurts has been doing, playing decent football, get himself the run game going for himself, and then also get the Philly run game going and get the Philly offense going, Philly should easily win this game like 27-10. We'll go.
I think the X factor should be for the Eagles is for Jalen Hurts to hit A.J. Brown. I think that's going to be the big X factor tonight but what you also said with Davis Mills and Brandon Cooks, but also I think it's going to have to be the Houston defense to try to stop Hurts and Brown. Agreed?
Agreed.
So I think also because this Philly defense has also been awesome. So I think Houston's got to find the holes in that defense. Okay, so it is now time for my friend. It is time for rapid fire. Got a couple questions. Going to ask this within 2 minutes.
Okay.
And here we go. Who is the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC East?
If you're looking, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's finally back. Cooper Rush helped the Cowboys win a couple football games. And then now, of course, the run game's looking good. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, great 1-2 combo in the run game. And once again, Dak Prescott's back healthy, thumbs healed. Cowboys should easily, I'm not saying win the division, but they're the biggest threat to the Eagles. And then especially if Philly starts losing football games and the Cowboys continue to win, Cowboys are going to win the East.
I'm going to agree with you. I think the Cowboys, like I said, as much as I would like to say the Giants, Cowboys have receivers, Giants don't. Okay, next question. Which team do you think that made the playoffs last year is going to miss the playoffs this year?
As of right now, the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers were number 1 seed last year. Rodgers won MVP again. This team is just absolutely horrendous right now on offense. No offense to any of the wide receivers on the Packers. Romeo Doubs, Sam Watkins. I can't think of the other wide receiver off the top of my head. Robert Tonyan's doing all right, and run game's good. But other than that, Packers defense really can't hold a football game down on defensive side, giving up lots of points. Aaron Rodgers is human. I'm not going to blame Aaron Rodgers. The hole on this team right now. Excuse me, Matt LaFleur can be a little bit of blame for this, but right now the Packers team is looking on the outside looking in. They're going to miss the playoffs this year. It's going to be sad for me to say that.
I am going to say, I would have said the Packers too, but to add a little diversity here, I'm going to say the Rams. They're coming off a Super Bowl hangover right now. And we have said on this Reg has said that the NFC West is overrated, and I'm going to agree on that one. I think the Rams are just coming off are just coming off a Super Bowl hangover. Maybe they can turn things around, but as of this moment, I'm going to say the Los Angeles Rams of St. Louis. Sorry, Mike Rifkin, for stealing your trademark. Which team you think that missed the playoffs last year is going to make it this year?
Very surprisingly, I'm going to say the New York Giants. With another wild card up for grabs this year in the NFL, I believe the New York Giants are going to find a way to squeak in for a wild card spot. And I'm going to double down and throw the New York Jets in there too. I think the Jets have a good chance of being a wild card team as well. Both teams are playing great football. Once again, I've said the Giants are getting lucky winning football games, but hey, Sometimes all you need is a little bit of luck to win a football game. If you keep winning football games, you're going to make the playoffs. And, you might not get far in the playoffs the way you play, but once again, all it takes is a little bit of magic to make a run happen. And I believe the Giants and the Jets both can be wild card football teams this year.
Just a little bit of luck. You just might win. Okay. For me, since you doubled down, I'm going to double down. I'm going to say the Seattle Seahawks. I think so far they're really making some noise with Geno Smith as their quarterback.
Yeah, Geno Smith, the resurgence of Geno Smith, we can make the jokes about him when he was with the Jets. We say glass jaw, Geno, you owe me $600 because that's how he broke his job because, he got into a fight with the player. But, Geno Smith has a resurgence in Seattle. And you know what? Seattle's moved on from Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Plain simple.
Like when you told me that because I was saying at the draft, they should have got Malik Willis. They should have got Matt Corral, but Geno Smith is doing great over in Seattle. The Seahawks are now in first place in the NFC West. So I think things are moving along very swimmingly in the rainy city of Seattle. And for another team, since you doubled down, I'm going to double down. I'm going to also agree with you and say the New York Jets. I think the Giants are going to make it too, but I'm not going to say that because I don't want to be biased. The Jets, that defense is scary. That Jets defense is scary right now. I think they're playing really good football right now. I think Zach Wilson needs to find his foot in a little bit, or maybe it's time to put in Mike White, but I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs. Okay. What game are you looking forward to the most on Sunday?
I mean, there's one game I've been looking at. It's going to be the Titans and the Chiefs. Both teams are 5-2 right now. Both teams playing good football. It's in Kansas City, so slight edge to the Chiefs. But I'm looking forward to Titans and Chiefs. I think it's just going to be a great back and forth game all day.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think Titans and Chiefs are going to be a good one. And I also think, even though I just bashed one of these teams, I think the Rams and the Bucs are going to be a good game. Rematch of last year's AFC divisional game. Okay, and now finally, Patch, what is your prediction for tonight's game?
I think I alluded to it earlier. I can see it being, like I said, 23-17. Give me the Phil. Give me the Eagles. But don't be surprised if Houston finds some magic because of what's going on back in Philly.
I'm going to say Eagles 31, Texans 17. So,
all right.
And I think the Eagles might just cover the spread because, by the way, Eagles are favored by 13.5 tonight. This is not gambling advice. Okay, so that is today's show. Patchman, thank you for joining me.
Anytime, kid.
And if they want to see more, Patch, where do they go to?
Oh, they go to our lovely website that I spent countless hours making, revising, adding stuff, taking away stuff, www.dsportsinsanitynetwork.com.
And also check us out on Twitter.
Check us out on Twitter on SIN Real for the network, and then SIN Insanity for the podcast.
Yeah. And also, if you like us here on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell for daily notifications. Once again, Patchman, thank you for joining me. I'm Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy. Thank you for watching another episode of Thursday Night Gridiron. We will see you next time. Stay safe and take care.
In the words of Danny Boy Reginald, peace, love, fried chicken. In the words of me, say goodnight to your mama. Mama loves you. Say goodnight to your papa. Papa loves you too. We'll see you guys soon. We'll see you later this week for bottom half of the inning of SIP. And also look out for face turns predictions of Crown Jewel. That's going on for WWE. And then we'll see you on Sunday for Sunday Sideline Report, guys. So see you for the rest of the week with lots of content.
And in the immortal words of our dear friend, Mike the Pun Master Rifkin.